Hey guys, real quick, before we get into it, do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. That way, you don't miss out on any of the tea. Thanks.
Hi, Charles.
Bonjour, ça va?
Bonjour, ça va bien, et toi?
Ça va bien, merci. And why are we speaking French?
We are speaking French because we are once again talking about French
Yes,
in Louisiana.
I know this is one of your most passionate
It
favorite
is.
topics, talking about French culture in Louisiana, French education, French language. But you're going to share some really great information on this wonderful foundation that you are becoming intimately a part of. And I'm really excited to hear about it. And you kind of express to our audience what it is. So what are we talking about? Tell me.
Well, we're going to play a game first.
Oh, let's play a game first. Great. I love a game.
Can you guess how many French speakers there are worldwide?
Oh, good question. How many French speakers are there worldwide? 25 million?
25 million. You want to take a... We're going to do Price is Right rules.
Price is Up rules.
Higher.
120.
321 million French speakers estimated worldwide. Do you want to guess how many French speakers we have here in Louisiana?
In Louisiana. All right, so we have like what, 4.5 million people in the state roughly. Yeah. 850,000?
I wish. It's closer to 120,000. So there's some estimates place it between 250 to 120,000 French speakers left in Louisiana, which is down from when you consider in the 70s, over 1 million people in the state of Louisiana as French speakers. Yeah.
Was 70s the peak?
Probably not the peak over the history of French speaking in Louisiana.
No, you're right.
But kind of the last large number for us as a population.
So let me ask you, before you get into it, now I'm curious, would you consider then all of that data that it is becoming in the process of an extinct language in the state?
So I wouldn't necessarily say an extinct language quite yet, but it is definitely an endangered language.
Endangered, okay.
But we're seeing some of that turn around, and some of what we'll discuss today is behind that.
Yes.
Okay, so one more question.
Okay, go.
Do you know how many French bookstores there are in the United States?
Oh, wait, I do, I think. I think there's only, what, 3 or 4?
3.
One of which is now in New Orleans.
One of which is now here.
Where are the other 2?
Washington, D.C. and New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so cool.
Very cool. So what we are going to talk about today, because March 20th is International Francophone Day, is French here in Louisiana. So back in 2018, Louisiana became a member of La Francophonie, which is an organization that's comprised of 93 other member states and governments that are united by the common language of French. So it's really exciting that we get to be a part of this, and Louisiana being a part of organizations like that is what's helping to turn around that decrease in French speakers. And so one of the organizations that we're going to talk about today is near and dear to my heart, and that is the Nous Foundation.
The Nous Foundation.
So they are located in the French Quarter and have recently opened the 3rd French bookstore that's is here in the U.S.
That's so cool.
But they do lots of other really exciting work. Their mission really is focused around the restoration and preservation and promotion of our heritage cultures here in Louisiana, particularly around language. So Creole and French, as well as Indigenous languages. I think a lot of times we really focus on the French, but there are so many other languages native to Louisiana, including Louisiana's own variation of Spanish, all the various Indigenous languages that have been spoken by the people that were originally here. That it's really important that we are not only preserving, but also really re-entering into our everyday life and our everyday lexicon in order to ensure that they don't get lost.
Would you say that the state is, we've kind of talked before about the eradication of it and through education. Would you say that we're embracing it now?
So
not tolerating, but embracing.
I think you have definitely seen that there is a much stronger appetite for French education and French immersion programs here in the state in recent years.
Why? What changed?
One thing I will say about those programs, though, is a lot of them are focused on continental or international French, right? So what's different is like it's not necessarily teaching Louisiana French or Louisiana Creole, but it still at least is introducing a younger population to the language of French, right? And that's important because that can be a great conduit into bringing young people into our heritage languages. I think a big part of that support and interest around French immersion programs. One thing, if you are in a French baccalaureate program, the French baccalaureate curriculum is the same everywhere in the world.
Okay.
So to be able to say like, oh, I finished in a French baccalaureate program, that's recognized and can take you to universities in Canada, universities in Europe, all around the world. Also, if you are someone who for some reason is like traveling and now you've got to uproot your kid and put them in a new school, it's seamless, right? If they were in the 4th grade in a program in California, what they're going to be learning in 4th grade in a program here is going to be basically the same. So that continuity of the academics, I think, is really appealing to many people. I would say the other thing too is we really do realize that every day, the world is kind of contracting, right?
Yes.
And we are living in a much more interconnected global society. And so when you consider that French is the, I think, 5th most spoken language in the world, the 4th most utilized language on the internet, having your child speak a language that is so widely spoken by so many others really opens so many doors for them. I have quite a few friends who work in different international roles, whether with the State Department or with the UN, or in logistics and other companies where they're working with an international clientele. And many of them are either products of French immersion programs here in New Orleans or of the French program at the University of Louisiana in Lafayette. And one of the things they always talk about and advocate for is how much French education has empowered them and opened doors for them in their careers. And so I think what we are seeing is this like really beautiful connection of people going, I know that French is a part of Louisiana's heritage, and it's really important to our identity as people from Louisiana. And also I have this opportunity to expand my child's world. Like these two things coming together, I think is why we see an increase in the desire to have children educated in French again.
I love that. So where does the Nous Foundation fit into all of this?
So
what is their purpose, their mission?
Yeah, what's great about the Nous Foundation is, and full disclosure, I am on the board for the Nous Foundation.
Yes,
so I'm an advocate. I love what they do. I love their mission, and I'm also, a member of their organization. Nous is really focused again on that preservation and promotion of our heritage cultures, and some of the ways that they have done that is producing films. They recently produced an album through their independent label called Musique.
Oh, I love that.
That was actually put into the Library of Congress, and got to have some of the artists that performed on the album go and perform a show at the Library of Congress. They also performed the album at the UN. So it has really been such an exciting global endeavor of bringing Louisiana culture to the broader Francophonie in the broader world. But the other really exciting thing about Nous is that in addition to being a cultural center and having a physical space in the French Quarter where you can come and learn about the work they're doing, come to their French bookstore, they're also a grant-making organization.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
And so that is, I think, what is most important and most exciting about what organizations like Nous are able to do is not only support their own mission, but then be able to help finance and support other entities, other organizations, other individuals here in the state that are working towards preservation of our heritage cultures. So we actually just recently had the Homer J. Dupuy grant program announce the laureates for that.
Okay. What's
grant
that about?
So what's really cool is it's about funding projects that are really focused on heritage language and heritage culture, but in fun and interesting ways, or languages that we maybe don't necessarily hear as much about. So one of the projects that received a grant through Homer J. Dupuy is a project to bring back the Mobilian language into everyday life. So it's one of the indigenous languages that was spoken here. And so the Homenti Society, which is based out in Sabine Parish,
Okay.
they are working on actually bringing elders who still speak the language to teach younger people and really like revitalize, not just educating, but really working on having it used again in day-to-day life. So projects like that I was not familiar with this language before we received the application for the grant program, and now being able to say, hey, you guys have put together this amazing plan to really restore and revitalize this language, and we get to support that. Other projects that they are working on, there's this great artist, his name is Jermaine Butler. He sings and rap and R&B entirely in Kouri-Vini,
From
Louisiana Creole. He
Oh,
is.
wow.
Yeah, so he's
That's
based
cool.
out of Baton
Okay.
Rouge,
That's
and
cool.
so he's working on an EP called Sudla, and it is entirely in Kouri-Vini, and that's really cool. I think a lot of times when we think about our heritage languages, and especially from a musical standpoint, we kind of think about like older styles of music or like from a more historical perspective. And that's really important, and we want to like hear and see those things, but it's also really, really cool to see this like new contemporary lens on our culture. So projects like that being able to be funded, that's what's really exciting to see.
I think the more we do our podcast and we kind of do these recurring topics on French culture, it just kind of puts into perspective how we, growing up, we've taken it for granted, the uniqueness that Louisiana is part of the Francophone world, right?
Yeah.
In a way that other states in this country are not. The founding of New Orleans was a French colony. The Creole, Cajun culture in Lafayette area, like we kind of take that for granted, and I'm so happy that we are turning the tide and embracing it after rejecting it for decades.
Yeah.
And realizing the importance of preserving this. And you bring such a good point up that the involvement of the elders is so important because they are passing down this language, both written, verbal, and that's how you preserve it, right? Without having it go. And in previous episodes, we've talked about how in the state they force, French not being taught, right? And we've kind of in hindsight realized we probably shouldn't have done that. It actually would have been advantageous to continue doing that, right? Yeah. So it is exciting to see this rejuvenation, especially through the Nous Foundation, for instance. The fact that we're now the third French bookstore in the country. I hope that we continue to see a larger momentum, both from the state and the city in terms of like kind of expanding this outreach.
Absolutely.
And I think we are kind of seeing those in power in the state recognize the importance of preserving this unique culture that we have in Louisiana, that is French culture, right?
Absolutely.
And I love that you're involving yourself in this.
No, it's super exciting. And I mean, to your point of that sort of moving away from our French heritage and the French language, and not realizing how advantageous that being French speakers could be. One of the things that we've kind of seen many historians and those who are advocates or are who have an interest in World War II, some of the things that have been uncovered are how many soldiers from Louisiana were actually utilized as translators in like North African campaigns and throughout France, because they were bilingual. They spoke both English and French, and so they were called the Frenchies. So there's a few books and documentaries that folks have worked on documenting that. But again, those are one of those things that like that age, that those that were, late teens, 18, 19-year-old soldiers and going into their 20s, that's kind of that like last generation of really being like, hey, they would have been young enough to have some French education, because it's in the 20s when we first get legislation saying, okay, it's now illegal to teach French in schools in Louisiana, right? So you kind of got that tail end of the last kids who probably were educated in French, and then for sure those who came from families that were primarily speaking French that are going out into the world. And initially this thing that like they were embarrassed about or, trying to hide because we were being told like, you can't speak like that here. They get over to, Northern Africa, they get over to France and they're like, wait,
Well, actually,
you've got French and English. We can use you. We need you, you know? So it's things like that being able to tell those stories to help support other organizations and other individuals around the state who are trying to tell those kinds of stories is what I really love about being able to be a part of an organization like Nous.
Is that part of one of the critical foundations of Nous in terms of like the educational outreach?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Educational outreach, really being supportive of the arts. So again, how do we promote culture through film, through music? But it's all of those things coming together, right? We know that culture is made up of all of those different components. And so how do we preserve, promote, support all of those different arms of our culture is what we're like really focused on.
Are there any, for the listeners out there, any particular projects y'all are working on right now that we should be aware of, or some programming efforts?
For sure. So our new season's going to be starting soon.
Ooh, a new season. What does that entail?
Very excited. So it'll be some exhibitions. I can't reveal it quite yet. But I'll give a little bit of a hint. You know, we are celebrating 250 years of America this year, right?
Yep.
So we'll be looking at some interesting things with regards to Louisiana and America as we celebrate this 250th anniversary of our nation. So we have a few things like that coming down. I just mentioned, like, you know, we just did our grant for this year. So we've awarded those programs. So it'll be exciting to follow those. And as those are getting up and running and getting started, to see, you know, those things flourish. But you can check out the Nous Foundation website when we drop the dates for our gala, when we drop the opening date for the exhibition.
Okay.
We do have the newly renovated space down in the French Quarter. It just reopened in December. It's at 602 Toulouse in the French Quarter. And somebody's in there just about every day of the week, Monday through Friday. So if you just want to pop in and kind of take a look around the space, take a look at some of the books, chit chat in French if you speak French.
Are there French conversation sessions like where people can go practice? And
so some of that is coming in conjunction with l'Union Française. Right now, we actually have a class on Senegal that happens weekly in the space. It happens all in French. We're putting together some opportunities for like French tables and other French speakers to come together, whether in our space or other fun locations in the French Quarter to come. But yeah, the educational component and just like bringing together people who speak Louisiana French, people who speak Kouri-Veni, so that you can hear the language, just start to be immersed in it, to bring together speakers to speak with each other, but also those who may not be speakers yet and are just interested in learning more about the language.
Awesome. I like that. I appreciate that. One final question.
Yes.
So I am curious, have you always been, even as a young child, interested in this, or was this like a late bloom thing? Just like your passion for French culture and preservation of Louisiana?
Yeah, I'm really lucky in that I come from, at least on my maternal side, a family that has a really long history here in Louisiana, a really long history that the elders in my family have always been really proud of and really shared. It's so funny that you're asking me this question, because yesterday I was sharing with someone. My great uncle would annually do this like 130-page Word document where he would go through the history of our family, and he would start with his parents. So my grandmother's grandparents.
Okay, got it.
Who were born in 1874 and 1881. So like I grew up in a family where year after year, that's being reinforced, right? We're talking about generations of our family who've been in the same place. Like they were born on Bayou Tash. My grandmother was born on Bayou Tash. They've been in Opelousas in that area for many, many years. And while many of us have, you know, grown and gone other places, you know, that's a place that we always come back to. We have like really big family reunions and things. So being really connected to who we are as people from Louisiana and people who have been from Louisiana for many, many generations is very important to us. And sharing that with others, sharing that with younger
Absolutely.
people in our family. That's really important. And so as I grow and start to become an elder,
Girl, we are.
that is very important to me. And so to be in
Absolutely.
a position to not only instill that in my own family, but share that more broadly with other people here in Louisiana and more broadly across the world of who we are
Right.
as people and who we've been for hundreds of years as people here in Louisiana. That's really important to me.
I have a lot of respect for people who kind of pick their passion project in terms of preservation, whether it be architecture, language, culture. So
Yeah.
you're doing really good work.
Well, thank you.
Any final thoughts on the Nous Foundation and what people can, in terms of seeking it
Yeah, I
out?
encourage people to definitely check out their website. It's Nous, Nous, so a little use of French, but kind of that like double entendre,
Yeah.
new and new. Nous-foundation.org to see what they've got going on. If you'd like to support, if you would like to come and visit, again, 602 Toulouse in the French Quarter is where you can find us Monday through Friday. But I also encourage people to check out other organizations like the Historic New Orleans Collection. They're a great free museum down in the French Quarter. They have so much history around New Orleans, but also around the state as well. So it's really great to kind of connect with organizations like that if you are interested in Louisiana history. The Cabildo Museum is also another great location and another great resource if you want to start learning more about the history of Louisiana. Both have physical locations, also both have really great digital archives that you can go and access information. So for sure, looking at those nonprofits that are really focused on our culture and heritage, frequenting those museums and supporting those museums that support the preservation of our culture and heritage, I think are like the easiest, best way to kind of start if that's where your interest lies. I will also throw out one more.
Yes.
The African American Museum in the Treme is also another great museum that has just wealth of history and information, I think particularly around that neighborhood, because that is such a historical New Orleans neighborhood. But yeah, start with our museums. It's really amazing, especially some of these smaller museums that we have here. The information that they have, the maps that you can go and look at, the letters that you can go and read. That is really the best place to start.
Does the World War II Museum have a French exhibit? Because you're talking.
They do. They do have.
Interesting.
I don't know if it was a part of the permanent exhibit, but they have done several different pieces on the Frenchies. On the Frenchies, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so for sure, I know on their website they have a page that's dedicated to information on them. Nice. I can't remember if there's a permanent exhibit at the museum on the Frenchies though.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. This was great.
This was great.
This last thought. Remember, we took Louisiana history in 7th grade.
Yes.
I'm wondering, do other states take a state history?
Have their state history? I wonder if that is.
I'm actually very curious. Like, it's just.
I would imagine so. Right? I would imagine so.
Are they as interesting as our state history?
Probably.
See, that's why I wonder.
We have pirates.
Right, and we do have, yes, true. Well, thank you so much. This is a great topic.
No, I enjoyed this.
I love your passion coming out for French culture in Louisiana and your advocacy for it.
So I always love, it's my favorite thing to talk about.
Absolutely.
Well, if there's something that you enjoy talking about, definitely let us know. We're always open to suggestions for next episodes. Please check us out on social platforms. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of the places, and we'd love to hear from you. So shoot us in a DM, an email, and if you're interested in our weekly news digest or getting our episodes early, definitely be sure to sign up for our Patreon. And until next time, bye listeners.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Pelican Briefs.
If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
If you are loving the show, you can help us keep the conversation going by supporting us on Patreon.
Your contribution on Patreon ensures we can continue producing quality content you love.
Click the link in the description to become a patron today.
Until next time, this is Pelican Briefs.